Welcome to the Lou&Sue podcast,
where we chat about life, love, and what we've learned.
So grab your cutest mug
and join us.
Hi, welcome to the Lou&Sue podcast. Welcome back if you've watched their other videos.
So today's episode,
what do we call it?
You've got a friend in me.
You've got a friend in me. So as women in their around 40s, I think now we appreciate, I started that in the 30s more, but we appreciate the each other's weirdness now, what we didn't when we were in school kind of things, or we didn't understand it. We've been friends for...
I would have appreciated your weirdness as well.
Yeah, I think I would have too. We've been friends for 10 years, so it's been like the easiest friendship ever.
Yeah.
My opinion.
This is the original topic that started the idea for the podcast.
Yeah.
Because we were walking and we were sharing our stories from high school. I didn't realize that Lou had been bullied in high school. And I don't think I'd ever told you that I had either. And all of a sudden I was like, wow, we've been friends for 10 years and I had no idea sort of your past with that and how like similar our stories were. So we kind of got the idea of that, and then that was when I was like, let's do
this would be a great podcast.
Yeah, because it was like I wish that I could talk to girls who were that age, 16, 15-year-olds now, and tell them like it gets better and it's not the end of the world. And just we talked for probably a good half an hour on that. And so yeah, I just kind of wanted to share our stories so that people know that you're not alone. And it's really hard to make friends once you're out of high school.
Yeah.
When
you're introverts, especially.
Yeah. And I can remember saying to somebody at work, my boss was a bully in high school, and she fully admits it. So I'm not gossiping or spreading rumors. She lit a guy's pants on fire once. And she was kind of a mean girl, and she was in the popular group. And I say all the time to her, we would not have been friends in high school because I was the nice girl. Like I was the girl that helped out with the special needs kids, pushing wheelchairs around and stuff. And what that did was make me a target for the bullies. So yeah, I would not have been friends. Well, she wouldn't have wanted to be friends with me anyway.
Yeah.
But I think after years of trying to fit in, eventually you just go, you know what? I give up. I don't even really want to anymore. And you sort of go the opposite way. Luckily for me, I embraced the weirdness and didn't try to fight it anymore. But I would imagine it's hard if you continue on in your adult life trying to be not weird,
Yeah.
Because we're all weird.
We are. In our own different ways.
Yeah. I was preparing for this one and I found a quote by C.S. Lewis. It says, "Be weird, be random, because you never know who would love the person that we hide." And it's true.
This applies in relationships too. I'm just going to say this quick thing because I talked to I think it was my mother a couple weeks ago, and she was saying something about, how we get into relationships. Well, we pretend, I like that too, and I didn't. Well, if you no, but a lot of people, especially when you're younger, right? And so she met her and my dad got together when they were younger. So it's a different kind of dynamic versus like us doing it now as adults.
Yeah.
But I know we mold into the relationship a little bit, but don't pretend that you like something you don't like. Don't.
Well, you're only going to have to undo that later.
Right,
on.
Exactly. But
Unless
the point is that if you want somebody to love you for you, be you.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pretend anything. And I'm not saying that people are straight up lying, but like don't be like pretend that you like something a little bit more than you actually do. Just be you. Be open to things, but be you. And then
you don't have to mold yourself to the other person completely. To the point
that should happen over time. It shouldn't happen right away.
Yeah.
So if you want to attract anybody to you, for them to love you who you are, you have to be yourself. So this is the thing with the two of us, is we're just ourselves completely, so that we just easily, just clicked.
Yeah.
It just was
works.
easy.
Yeah. But there was no pressure in like, so because we met the way we did through somebody else and in a bar scene, it wasn't like, we weren't like face to face the whole time. Like, oh, you know, if we had gone out to dinner the first time we met, let's say, and we were sitting in a restaurant across from each other, there'd be a lot of pressure and, on the conversation and entertaining each other. And I feel like it organically happened because of how we met and where we met. And how do you meet people and make friendships as an adult? Like,
Yeah, when you're a kid, you're like, hey, will you play with me?
yeah,
And then that's it. That's all
Yeah.
you have to do. As an adult, it's weird when you start saying that. So you
Oops.
can, but generally it's through mutual friends, through like you work, switch jobs or something like that, and then
Yeah.
you find friends at work and things like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, you don't just randomly be like, hey, you want to be friends with me? And it's
Yeah.
weird. We're so self-conscious and we're so self-aware and we're so, you know, concerned about what other people think as well that
Mhm.
it stops us. Like we lose that as we grow older.
Yeah.
I wish we had a lot of that back when
Yeah.
we were kids and just not caring. I'm trying. And
That's-
I
it's
think
hard
I
to
do
do 'cause of
okay with
life
that
experiences.
sometimes. Yeah. But I still try to be like,
Mhm.
if I'm worried about their opinion of something,
Mhm.
if they matter to me, like I don't ever actually worry about Susan's opinion because I already know that she loves me and
Yeah.
it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
fine. But I also think of her when I make decisions. So I'm not
Mhm.
going to, I'm not a selfish person. I'm just naturally not a selfish person. So I don't just not think of other people when I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing something today.
But if you did something that I didn't agree with, you also know that it wouldn't change how I view you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, you'll
my-
try to, just like I do with you, and be like, well, I see where you're coming from.
but you're wrong.
Yeah. But then we'll have a conversation about it, or it'll
Yeah.
just be like, no, it's okay. You went through a moment. You had a little whatever.
Yeah.
Or that's how you reacted to this thing, which is normal. And
Mhm.
but
And I
it's
think
the love, right? And this is the
it's-
thing: when you truly love somebody, you accept everything.
Yeah.
And you can be truthful about things. So if I'm super self-conscious about something,
Mhm.
and I'm saying, oh, I'm not going to, like, I want to do something. Let's say I have some kind of goal,
Mhm.
and I don't share that with you.
Mhm.
I'm like hiding it from myself too. So like,
Yeah.
if I'm excited about something, I always
Yeah.
share everything with you, and I
We're
don't care. You're not
completely
going to get,
transparent with each other.
yeah. If
Mhm.
like, so for example, I'm trying to get into a habit of like working out. I built my own gym in my apartment, like
It's
not my
really
building,
cool.
in my
It's
actual
very aesthetic.
apartment.
Yeah.
And I just went, like I finally did a workout this morning, so I'm wearing all black because I just feel like badass. It's kind of my thing. It works.
Yeah.
Anyways, so, but I'll tell her when I'm like, okay, so I haven't done anything in about a month,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to, I guess a month isn't really that long to not have done anything.
No.
It's not too bad, but I try to get on
I
this
haven't
new
done anything in
habits.
3 years. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like I want her to hold me accountable to a certain extent too.
That's part of the reason why we tell each other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you can check in.
Mhm.
Like, how's that going for you? You know, and I know you will because you're that kind of a friend too. And there's different levels of friendship too. You know, we had a mutual friend that both of us have kind of grown apart from. And I remember us talking about it when that friendship sort of slowly weaned off, I guess, for me, because I think I was probably closer to her than you were, or like I hung out with her more. Maybe.
Yeah, mine was more of that. She was my coworker, so it
Mhm.
was, we saw each other a
Friendship
little
by
bit outside
necessity,
of
a
work,
little
but
bit.
most of the time it was just work related.
Yeah, and it took me a while to realize that she was a friend for a good time, not a long time, and nothing against her at all. It just, it was a friendship that naturally ended as my life changed, and I wasn't going out, I wasn't partying, I wasn't into like just the same things that she was into. And honestly, as soon as I was in a committed relationship, she kind of didn't need me anymore. And I noticed that she was really just surrounding herself with sort of yes men, you know, that were just like-minded with her, right? Partying and stuff. And she's one of those people that has a lot of friends, and she's hilarious and she's great. But sometimes it makes me wonder with somebody like that, when they do finally settle down and get out of that scene, who's going to carry the coffin, right? Like, who are her? Is it 6 people or 8 people that carry your coffin?
6.
Okay.
Yeah.
who are your 6 people, you know? And what did you say to me?
So I saw a quote and I loved it. And it's, I might not have 6 friends to carry my coffin, but I have one best friend that will flirt with 6 men to carry my coffin. And that's very much us.
Yeah.
Which is perfect, because here's one thing too. So even through high school, but like we'll get into kind of how our school went. But I was a bartender for a lot of years. So I always had a lot of acquaintances. So the bar I worked at was a regulars bar, so it was the same people-ish pretty much every day, right?
Yeah.
So it was great. I knew so many people. But my actual friends that I hung out with was like 2.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was just Susan, and that's good.
That's
But this is what I like. Like I love having a lot of acquaintances, but I only make space to be really close to people that I'm very comfortable being close to, that it's safe to be close to, right? So although a lot of my acquaintances would be okay to be that close to them too, it's just never quite developed into anything quite that close.
Yeah.
And that's good for me, because I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert enough. I like to be by myself, that I don't want to feel obligated to have to spend time with multiple people, right? And go out with multiple people. So if I find another introverted friend, who generally, most of our friendship is texting or Messenger or Instagram. Message, we have 3 different venues that we send each other memes on.
Within the same hour, there's like 3 different messages on 3 different platforms.
So the best part about this podcast too is it gets us together. Yeah. To hang out too, which
it does. Like. I feel like, and it's again, it's what we would have already been doing. It's just a little bit more like produced, I guess.
But it's still comfy. We're just in my apartment on my comfy couch, and it's
what you were saying made me think of something too. One of the things I like about you, I think one of the things that makes us friends is because we're both sensitive people, and I'm the type of person that I never would want you to be hurt by anything. And I don't know if you girls or guys that are listening have ever experienced this, but you know when you're hanging out with a friend and they clearly know you have other friends, but you're talking about the other friend. So let's say I'm hanging out with Jane, call her, and I'm talking about you, and you can tell Jane's starting to get kind of like possessive almost, like, don't talk about your other friends. You were never like that.
Yeah.
Like I can talk about, and I have a handful of friends. I really do. Like I don't have a huge circle. I have a few quality friends that I actually genuinely know would carry my coffin.
Yeah. I'm sure I could find 6 people to carry my coffin. If not, I wouldn't, because it's my coffin.
I think we're going to hook harnesses up to the cats and have them
there you go.
Pull it out like sled dogs.
Except they're cats, so they're going to do what they want to do, and they're not going to. They're not.
It's going to be hilarious.
You'll be in charge of that, and you take care of that.
Wait, that means you die first.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
No. Wait, what?
Let's just not have that happen at all.
All right, we're changing the subject.
Yeah.
No, I don't like the jealousy thing. And when I feel that from Jane, it makes me want to shut down, and then I can't be my authentic self because I can't talk about parts of my life, which happen to be other friends. My best friend out west she's amazing, and she's been my friend since high school. And that will probably lead into what we're going to talk about. Yeah. But she loves Lou, and they met
at the wedding. I love her too. Like, he was an instant. I understand. We both love Susan so much that we understand.
It was a joint understanding that they were there for the same reason. And there was, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no jealousy. And that may have been a little fear in me before it happened. Like, how are these 2 going to connect? You know,
I think you just wanted so much, and you told me a lot. You're going to love her. You're going to love her. Yeah. And I probably said the same thing to her. But there was a little bit of it, like, okay, please love each other. Yeah. Please connect. Please not be a problem.
Well, sometimes you can't mix 2 worlds together, though. Like, you know, like
there's always a cautiousness about that, because it's like having something in your mind that you're like, oh, this would be so perfect if everyone gets together. But it's like, well, what if they don't? Because it's a reality that maybe we don't click together. Yeah. However, I get along with a lot of people pretty easily. Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but I'm not a very jealous person, I think, overall. So I don't know if it's I'm going to use the word maturity, and I'm going to hope that that's, accurate. But not to toot my own horn, but if you're jealous of somebody else's friend, Like, really?
No,
I
it
love
definitely
you so
says
much.
more.
I want you to have all the best in your life.
Yeah.
All your good friendships, I can't be the perfect person for everything. You need other friendships and different experiences. And
Yeah.
I mean, I might be jealous of the fact that you have a friend from high school still. That's different, but that's got nothing to do with her or
Yeah.
you, or it's just like, I think that's great that you have that. I think that's awesome. Because you have your childhood things that you've gone through together. Can you relate to those things together?
Well, I think, you know, for me, because I'm a bit, like I always say that there's two kinds of people in the world. There's surface level people and then there's deep divers. And there's nothing wrong with either one. They're just different people. Some people don't want to talk about deep issues. They would really rather just talk about just, I don't want to say nonsense, but you know what I mean? Just, and I think that for me, I would rather have a couple good friends who I can deep dive with, which I have with you, and I have with my friend out west. I do have friends that I don't do that with, you know, but I do think that that limits how close I'll ever be to them.
I think those are the ones that kind of stay what I call acquaintances. They might be very great people. They're still great relationships, but they're a very different level. Like you said, they're just not on that deeper level.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to remember that that's what it is and not expect more out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we do to ourselves as well, is we have high expectations of others and we get more upset when maybe they react to things or they say certain things that are like, well, I would never, I don't think like that. Like, why would they think like that? But it's because, but your relationship's different. And on that level, she or he or whatever that relationship is, that's all you're going to get from them. And that's all you have to give to them. And it's fine. But sometimes it's just being aware of certain things. And those kinds of friendships, unfortunately, are the ones that often will, over time, kind of fade out because there's no deeper thing holding you, right?
Yeah, I think over time they work. Who's meant to be in your life will stay in your life.
Yeah.
So I think it works itself out naturally. My cold's still not 100% gone, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, so I'll go into my high school experience.
Yeah, go ahead.
So a little backstory is also that I was born in one town, and when I was 10, my parents moved me to another town, which was really small, like the type of town where there was like my grad class was like 45 people or something. It was very small, and everybody there pretty well had been in school together since kindergarten, so they all knew each other. Most of them were related, and you know, so I was very much a fish out of water. And I realized really quickly that coming from the town I was from, that was me. I was the person who was related to everybody and knew everybody from birth, and our parents all knew each other. So I spent the first 4 years there kind of just bumping around. And so from 10 to 14, and middle school is tough. So like grade 7, 8 was when I met my best friend that's out west. No, one of my best friends. See, I did it now. I'm doing it now. I'm like, don't.
Your best friend from out west is not me. That's okay.
Okay. I feel guilty.
Right? We've already established that I'm okay with you having another.
I know.
I have two best friends, essentially.
It's
I
the
have
guilty
one,
conscious thing, you know.
but we both essentially have two best friends.
Yeah.
And you're not jealous of either one either.
Yeah, you're not.
Well,
You can only have one.
it doesn't matter. Be jealous if you want. It's not changing.
It's not happening. Yeah, so I can remember being in high school. I mean, like, it got so bad to the point where people were throwing food in my hair. One kid chased me around the class barking because I was a dog.
Oh my God, kids are so stupid.
It was really, really bad. And then when I started helping out with, there was one particular kid, he had spina bifida from birth, and I would push him around in his wheelchair and make sure that he got to his class and stuff on time. And he was a sweet kid. And I just remember thinking, I can't imagine having this obstacle to overcome. And then on top of that, these kids are making fun of him. Like, what is wrong with you?
And then making fun of you.
And then making fun of me for helping him, which
so
again, didn't care, because that wasn't, I could see past that. There was a maturity in me that I knew this is just high school. And this is going to end, and I care more about what I did, and reflecting back, I don't have any regrets about how I acted or how I treated anybody.
You care more about being a helpful person than fitting in. Yeah, which is good.
And maybe part of that was that I eventually realized, even if I had have had the right clothing, and if I had have grown up there, maybe I never would have. Maybe I was just odd, and my parents weren't wealthy, and in the 90s, especially in a small town, like, your jeans had to be this brand of jeans, and you had to have this sweatshirt, and your hair had to look like this. And I started shopping in thrift shops and wearing like vintage clothing before it was even kind of a popular thing in that area, at least. And all of the girls were growing their hair out for prom. And so I went and chopped mine off, like chopped it off. I had short hair. And it was almost like instead of, not only did I not want to try to fit in anymore, but I almost was like embracing that I didn't. Okay, I'm not going to fit in. I'm really just going to do what I want to do. And I started playing in a band. I had a shaker. I was singing. And so looking back now on who I was, I thought she was kind of cool, actually. I was making my own jeans out of like different things. And yeah, I liked who I was, though, at the heart of it. And I didn't understand why such shallow things were what made me not popular. But it forced me to, out of necessity, I guess, grow closer to my best friend. And we only had each other. Like, that was it. We were going to get through high school together, and we did. And we graduated together, and then we ended up moving to the town we're in now, before she moved out west. And I think going through the trauma of that as well, because she was picked on really bad too, that probably is the reason why we were so bonded.
Well, that's why, even though you live so far apart now, you still have that close friendship too.
Yeah.
The people that fit in and were cool probably are not friends with each
that
other anymore.
That is the thing. Like, I honestly can't speak to that for sure, but I would be willing to put money on that a lot of them don't talk as often as her and I do.
Yeah.
And, probably wouldn't fly them out for their wedding. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful that I chose the path that I did. I could see how easily, if I didn't have supportive family members and I didn't have her, how that could lead to suicidal thoughts, though. And bullying is just awful. It's so awful.
It's so unnecessary.
Yeah. During this time, by the way, her mom also died. She 15 or 16. And these kids are picking on her, and she's dealing with the death of her mother. Like, it's unreal to me. And I mean, you don't know the struggle that anybody's going through, and perhaps they didn't know, but anyway, it's just awful. So that sticks with me. And you don't see it as much as an adult, the bullying, except for the cyberbullying, where it's like, it's keyboard warriors. And
yeah, it changes forms.
Yeah.
But I think, and we can get into this later, but I think, I was telling her, when you're younger, you tend to have other people bullying, and then when you get older, you tend to bully yourself. I find that there's a lot of, but then you figure that out. Like I was saying, if I saw myself how she saw me, or if she saw herself how I saw her, it's like we wouldn't talk. I wouldn't talk to her the way I talk to myself. So why do I talk to myself like that?
Yeah.
But
and a lot of therapists say that you should talk to your 4-year-old self too.
Yeah.
Or talk to yourself the way you would if you were 4.
Yeah.
Like, you would never talk down or make fun of physical features of a 4-year-old. Well, hopefully you wouldn't.
Hopefully not. Otherwise, you're on that bullying section, and we're not friends.
That's
with you.
right. Yeah. You can't sit with us.
I will flat out say that you cannot sit with us.
Yeah. But yeah, so the same thing. Like, if your internal dialogue is negative, would you say it to each other? Of course not, right? So maybe taking the time to reflect on, what would Susan say to me about that, or ask me, and I'll correct you when you're wrong,
I do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit about how I grew up. So I also grew up in a very small town. We were 49 people in my graduating class. So, right?
Twinsies.
Yeah. my school was kindergarten to grade 12, all in one school. We had different floors, but it was all in one school, so it was very small. My experience on getting picked on started very young because I would get to school on the later side than a lot of my friends or, you know, other people in my classmates, I guess, because of just the way my bus, where I lived and how my bus got there. I would notice my friends running away from me in the schoolyard, and there was no specific reason for it. They just did it. And it's because I was sensitive, so it worked. And then as I get older, my teeth were very crooked. My jaw was very small. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I got the small jaw from my mom and the crooked teeth from my dad. But I had retainers and stuff since I was 9 years old, I think. And I had, like, to widen my jaw, I had what was called a lip bumper, so it went the inside, popped my lip right out. I had that for at least a year. So I'm sorry, but you're gonna get picked on. I was like 9, 10, 11, something like that.
Yeah, that's right in that age.
Yeah, so it's already an awkward age. My hair texture was always very weird. It would get puffy if I tried to do anything with it. So I was called Powerpuff Girl for a while too. So that
By the way,
started.
they're cute though.
Yeah,
it's not a very good insult on their part.
I know, but it still it stung.
Yeah,
it still worked.
Any name calling would.
Yeah, and then so that's where my experimenting with my own hair started, turning into something that I love to do. Where it's still pink, so I'm still doing stuff. But this is the thing. Like I had retainers, then I had braces and stuff, and then once I started, I think it was in grade 11, where it was just like, this is ridiculous. There's like, and I kind of always knew there's no real reason anyone's picking on me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not, like, I'm just shy. I was just quiet.
You're not picking on them first. You're not bullying them.
Yeah, but I also wasn't
making yourself.
I was not more awkward than anybody else either. We're all awkward. Like, nowadays, kids haven't made their school pictures are amazing. Yeah. I was awkward through, like, all of my very, very, like, stereotypical of the 90s kind of like, our teeth are all weird, our hair's all weird. That's just how we grew up. We don't have the Instagram, worthy pictures.
The influencers to watch and figure out how to do our makeup.
We didn't know how to do any of that stuff. I didn't have a hair straightener till I was just about graduated. Yeah,
they didn't come out until, I graduated in 1998. There was no hair straighteners.
Yeah.
That didn't exist.
Well, I graduated in 2003, and that's about when it was starting.
Yeah.
Well, it probably started before that, but again, my parents didn't have.
You were also in a small town.
Very small town.
Sometimes trends don't get to you until,
And we're also later. On the, east coast of Canada, which also we're so slow at getting everything.
Which is above Maine. To anybody watching the States.
In the States,
because they always ask. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one thing. So once I started in grade 11, kind of like stopped caring. I still tried to be myself. We didn't care about name brand clothes. That was never something I grew up with, which thank God. But like we all had, I wanted like the big bell bottom pants. Everyone had that, but they didn't have to be a certain brand. So we found cheap ones and whatever. I figured it out. That wasn't too bad. But generally, I just tried to just be me. And then that's where my actual friendships developed. I'm like, oh, you kind of went along with the group because you didn't really know what was going on. But then it was like, okay, I had one basically best friend all through school. So as she started getting older and started realizing what was happening, she clearly was not part of the running away from me group anymore. She's like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't even know what we were running from. But that friendship eventually ended up just kind of phasing out just from moving and growing apart and all that stuff. But I had a friend when I went to university after that she was a year younger than me or 2 years younger than me, and she mentioned that she always loved what I did with my hair. So I didn't always dye it for a long time, but I would do braids and kind of different things with it because I couldn't figure out what to do with it. I didn't have a hair straightener. But that was one of the things that stood out for her. And that's one of those things where it's like, I just didn't like what was going on, so I couldn't figure it out. So I just tried to do something to make it work for me. But this person loved it. So I'm like, again, that brings me back to the just be yourself, and you attract the people to you that love who you are. And that makes your friendship so much easier. And her and I were friends like when I was, in school, like in university or whatever. We were friends for that period of time, and it was a very good friendship as well. I don't see her anymore, but again, we moved apart. This is one thing about living in a small town is you tend to move away.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, but.
Yeah, and then you get to go out and experience the real world too, and you wake up a little bit, and I don't know if you've had this experience, but I have had people that I went to high school with reach out to me just in the last couple of years, and basically tell me that they realized what they were being like. I don't know that they actually like apologized, but I think it was a roundabout apology. Two of the guys that I went to high school with told me that they did like me actually, but it wouldn't have been cool for them to do that. And I mean, it would have been like social suicide for them, right? And I get it. And I never said that I liked them. So, I mean, was it, just because you're cool doesn't mean that the not cool kids like you or want to have anything to do with you. But yeah, you get it in the real world and you realize that it was just a blip. And it formed you into who you are. And again, like, what if we didn't give in to that? What if maybe we wouldn't have found our true selves? Like maybe those kids that are popular all the way through don't find themselves until they're much older because they kind of had to fit the mold. I mean, they can't all be the same. There's not 20 girls that all agree with each other and like the same things. And then there's that one weird girl that doesn't, I feel like they're hiding that. They're masking so that they do fit in. So maybe that's a whole other, I'd love to have one of them sitting right here. Yeah. Like interviewing them and saying like, what's your experience being on the flip side of that?
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of our personality is us wondering like, why are you running away from me for no reason?
Yeah.
Or why are you picking on me for no reason?
Yeah.
Or why are you picking on me for being helpful to this person with a disability? Like, how does that make sense? And because we think like that, we couldn't be one of those people.
We're too empathetic for sure.
Yeah, we couldn't be the people that feel like, oh, we're part of this group and you're not. So
yeah, because
unless you're bullying, we literally just said that you can't sit with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but it's a different format. We would still be
empathetic about. It's making me think like, as an adult, especially now that I'm a parent, you saying that I'm like, holy cow! But what? Maybe I didn't think of this before. What was going on in their lives?
Yeah.
Why? Like, my parents' voice was always in my head. Of like love and acceptance and support. And I just realized right now, maybe they didn't have that.
Yeah.
Right? Like
maybe had super high expectations of them.
Yeah.
And they had to be perfect.
Were their parents bullies? Like maybe when they got home from school, all they heard was their parents making fun of a coworker or that was the normal for them. I don't know because I didn't grow up like that. Yeah, thankfully, like and on that note, holy cow, am I ever glad that I didn't?
Were you going to sneeze? I'm going to, but it's not coming out.
Look at the sun.
Yeah, well, we closed the line, so it's okay. Sorry, never mind. Close call.
Close call.
But yeah, so I grew up, my mom didn't work until I was 12. So I had her at home. Yeah. She had similar enough experiences because she moved a lot. Her dad was in the Air Force, and he moved a lot her younger years, so she never really got a chance to fit in anywhere. And then with her siblings, that didn't always go so well either. So she very much sympathized with me when I got home and told her all about everything. So I had that, right? And as much as I didn't want to go back to school for a long time, I still had that happiness at home. Yeah. And, my brother was always my big brother was he didn't help me in school, but weren't in the same classes. It was not something that he could have done anything. Yeah. But he was also a good brother at home. My dad was good at home. So at least my home life was good. Yeah. But you think of people that maybe had the same situation that their home life wasn't good. Yeah. And this is why, like,
they didn't have a sounding board to come home to maybe. And it worries me for this generation because you and I came home to safety and kids now are coming home to social media where bullying can continue. And I mean, with the rise of school shootings and stuff, it makes you wonder if like it's because there isn't that like safety net when you're done school and you're home, because you're only in school for 6 hours? Yeah. 5 days a week. I was there a lot less than that, but anyway, like if you don't have that safety to come home to, good parents, loving family, an outlet. For me, youth group was huge because that was every Friday night, and I was popular there. I had lots of friends there, and
Because you're with the right people.
yeah, and my band played, so I was the cool girl wearing the vintage clothing, singing on stage. And if I didn't have that, I don't know where I'd be, you know, and where kindness was rewarded in those places too. It wasn't high school, but yet it was all high school kids. So yeah, I mean, kids nowadays, if they don't have those things and they're on social media, so the bullying can continue when they get home, it's no wonder that they're so angry and hurt and just desperate, you know.
Also in our economy, both parents have to work. So a lot of times they're just not there. Or they don't have the capacity, or they're split up. Because that's another thing too. We'll talk about this in future episodes, I'm sure, but other generations stayed together.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to understand more of the women don't have to just be at home taking care of the kids and all that stuff. And we're allowed to have our own self and our own needs and all that stuff. And with everything going on, it's still messy in a way, but there's a lot more divorces now because
there's the option to divorce.
You have the option.
Yeah.
You have the option. You have the right to have your own feelings and be respected. And
there's so much to unpack there.
There's so much. This is what I'm saying about future episodes. I'm sure we're going to talk more about that, but
that's
the generational thing, right? So like, when we were in school and people before us, they at least had the two parents when they came home.
Yeah.
But now, how many people? It's just one, and they need help. So they're working maybe 2 jobs or whatever the situation is. And if you don't have that, we talk about like filling your own cup or whatever it is too. It's the same thing, especially with kids. Like when you're trying to grow up. There's just so much you don't know. So you need to have some kind of guidance. You need to have something kind of filling your energy and your safetyness, right?
There's a reason why it works the way it does, that you have children after you've been raised. And I just had this conversation with my mom the other day because my daughter ended her 1-month relationship.
Oh.
And it was just really just a thing of like, she wasn't quite ready to date and he was kind of immature. And, after it ended, she kind of went, maybe I made a mistake, because she was missing the messages and she was this and that and the other thing. And again, something that in my generation, that would have been a conversation I was having with my friends, not my mom.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have felt comfortable to talk to my mom about that, but that's why the friendship was so important, and it would be you that I'd be talking to.
Yeah.
But my mother, when I was telling her this, she said, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, proud of me? What did I, she said that you can talk to your daughter like that you guys are that open with each other. And I said, but Mom, it was just me and her.
Yeah.
Because her father's in her life.
Yeah.
But really, I think the fact that I only had her 50% of the time, and I wanted to have that bond with her.
Put more focus.
Yeah, and I never wanted her to feel like she couldn't come to me, to the point of maybe I even overshared with her sometimes. But I think there is a dynamic shift where parents are becoming more, and maybe to a negative degree, more friends with their kids rather than parenting their children. And
it's like everything, there's a balance.
There is a balance to it. Now, my dad's advice when I was getting bullied, there were a lot of kids were calling me fat. And in hindsight, and also just looking back at pictures, I was never fat. I wasn't. Now it's a different story. But in high school,
what are you talking about?
but I wasn't, and it was so crazy that they were calling me
and
fat.
You still aren't.
And,
I don't know what you're talking
about.
And
I'm still not. That's right. And my dad's advice to me was that I should go up to them and say, I may be fat, but you're ugly, and I could always lose weight. So that was the kind of father I had. Yeah. It was great. And it made me laugh too. And I don't remember if I ever did it. I don't think I did.
Probably not.
No.
You don't seem like,
But if I did, they had it coming and you can't sit with me. Yeah. So I think we should talk really briefly because I don't know what we're at. Yeah. About to tie in, unless you had something else to say on this one,
No,
other than that you love me and you're so grateful that we met. And
of course.
same deal, Rebecca.
But this is the thing, like when everything's awkward and you don't know what's going on, don't try to be anything but yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna attract the people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
Like what Susan was saying.
And they're out
youth,
there.
Like with your youth group, that's where you fit in, but that's where you are with your right people.
Yeah.
And that's the point. And this is why her and I, our friendship is so easy.
Yeah.
Because we're with the right people.
Yeah.
And you should be able to be yourself.
It only lasts for 12 years. And then you pick a career which you're naturally going to get along with people better because you have similar interests.
Yeah.
And you're going to find your group in university or college, or you're going to go directly into the workforce and make great friends there. And for me, that was hairdressing. So I automatically had that in common with everybody that I was working with. And there's still people in your workplace you're not going to exactly get along with, but you will always find something in them to like if you look for it. And just keep your circle small and quality.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need 100 friends. You don't need 20 friends. You need like 3. Because, you know, if one's away.
Yeah, one's busy.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to talk about, because we forgot to, the tie-in from last week's episode. Last week we talked about
what we wish guys understood.
If I were a boy. Yeah. And we were talking about the dating subject. And so one of the sort of epiphany aha moments that we had last week was like, do guys even want to go on a date? So I interviewed 4 people, 4 guys, one in his 70s, one in his teen years, and 2 that were around our age. And I got general consensus is no, they don't want to date. If it's something that they enjoy doing, they're happy to go somewhere with us, but they don't feel the need to label it a date or to have that sort of, I guess, carved out outing. Like they're very much just happy to spend time at home and again, one of the things we talked about last week was extrovert versus introvert. And in fairness, I think all 4 could be considered more of an introvert. All the 4 people that I asked. So
I asked 2. I asked my dad, which this didn't overly surprise me. My dad's more of the extrovert side, and he enjoys the effort put into a date.
Yeah.
He likes it. Okay. I think he likes it more than my mom does. It's just, it's a weird, I'm not sure, I shouldn't speak for her. I guess I didn't really overly ask her, but yeah, he likes it. It's the extra effort. It's let's just do something special. So he enjoys it, but again, he's more on the extroverted side. And then I asked just one of the guys from, sorry, my voice cracked. That was weird. I just asked one of the guys from work, and basically it's the same kind of thing like you said. He's more on the introverted side, but it's not that he doesn't want to, but it just doesn't have the same impact as it does on us. So it's like,
I don't think it's in the forefront of their mind, right?
But also, I think his girlfriend's a little even more introverted than we are, so that doesn't overly apply as much, I guess. Maybe he would more than she would. I really don't know what the situation is, but yeah, I think overall, I think it's safe enough to say that generally, no, men don't care about it as much as women. But I think the introvert extrovert thing has a lot of impact on that.
Yeah.
Because extroverts are happy to go out and do things all the time. So if you call it a date or you don't call it a date, it kind of is the same thing for us women.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I mean, just be open with the person you're with then and in your needs. And if you need something to be a date or you need to have a date planned out regularly or whatever.
Yeah.
And for guys, I feel like you really need to be very specific with them. So if your idea of a date is to watch a murder show and eat pizza at home,
voice that.
Voice it.
Yeah.
If you need to be taken out to a restaurant once a week, voice it.
Yeah.
And to tie it back to today, just be that way right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Be you, be authentic. Don't be that girl, this drives me nuts. Don't be that girl that says, I don't even really like flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And you want the flowers and you want the date. And just be honest, because if the person is meant for you, just the same with friendship, they're going to step up or they're not going to be there. You're going to outgrow it. So there's no point in faking it. And I gave my daughter the same advice the other day. I said, there's no point in you delaying something for somebody just to have somebody to be with if they're not the right fit, especially when you're 16. My goodness, you have a lot of dating ahead. But it felt like the end of the world.
And it does.
And I
'cause
remember
at the
what
time
that
it
felt
does.
like.
Yeah.
And and then I said to her, imagine being 44.
Yeah. What did she say?
She just laughed.
Yeah.
I like making her laugh. Laughter's great medicine.
Yeah.
So one of the things we wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
is end every episode with kind of things that we're loving right now. Whether it's
So if you notice also the things behind us,
Yeah.
we did this is December that we're recording this. So we did our,
no, it's not. It's January.
that's fine. We did our friendship gift exchange today. So we have these things behind us. I don't know if you can see them, but.
So for our first What We're Loving episode at the end of our podcast, we're going to just show our gifts, I guess. And she made me cry, which if you guys watched our first episode with us introducing ourselves, I said I would have to have Kleenex because I'm a crier, but look what she got me. It's like, it's us. Well,
Little
we're
Funkos.
reversed here, but anyway, it's us. I didn't even know you could do that. It's so cute. Anyway,
She had the exact reaction I was hoping she would, and
I love her outfit. I actually want that outfit.
right.
Yeah.
And then I got this beautiful blanket, and then we're both very big Friends fans. So we have sorry if that was loud, but we have a salt and pepper shaker, which is tradition.
Essential perk.
It's tradition. What was it to get salt for a new home?
Yeah, new home buyers or somebody who's moved, you give them salt so that their life in their new house has flavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very sweet.
So, and also it's Friends themed, and today's episode was You Got a Friend in Me, so
Yeah.
it all just tied in like a neat little package.
Right? It was meant to be. It was perfect.
Yeah.
We have an extra friend here.
Is that a cat?
So I do have one other thing that I'm very thankful for that I
Oh.
was going to mention on the last one.
Mhm.
I got a new hair dryer because I have a Dyson, but it's like crapping out.
Yeah.
So I bought a new hair dryer because of the hair dryer that Susan had bought whatever
Mhm.
amount
Like
of time
6
ago.
months ago or something. Yeah.
She got the green one and I decided to get white one because basically everything I have is white. It's got a lot of power. It's very good.
It's fantastic. Like we both have thick hair,
yeah,
and
it makes
took
the dry
me-
process a lot faster.
Yeah, it's like 10 minutes now, and I mean before it would have been a lot more.
Yeah, I'm gonna link it in our description of what the actual hair dryer is.
Yeah.
There's so many different pretty colors too that you can choose from.
It's also really light, and as a
Yeah.
hairdresser, you know, if you're going to be holding it for a while, it is really good. And also, I find there's a director concentrator that goes on the end, and it's really good. Like if you're a round brusher and
And that's what I do. So
Yeah.
yeah. And when you have as much hair as we have, there's a lot more sections you have to go through.
Also, weird thing I liked about it, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but sometimes when you buy a hairdresser that's not a professional hairdresser, the cords aren't. What did I say?
Hairdresser.
Oh, hair.
You don't buy hairdressers.
I was in the zone. I don't even know what I'm saying.
That's okay.
But the cords are short.
Yeah.
So if you're
one's long.
standing up to blow dry your hair, you're like trying not to pull it
Yeah.
out of the wall. The cord is really long, which is
Yeah.
something you don't even really look for until you get one home and it's not.
So you
But-
realize it's too short. It's like
Yeah.
I can't move.
and we're not being paid for this, so it's just really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. Anything that makes your life easier, we want to kind of share those things
Yeah.
from personal experience. So thankfully, my best friend suggested I have a undershave. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, this is the third time I've done it. She suggested recently that I do it again, and then she laughed at me about maintaining it. She's like, "Well, I happen to be a barber."
Are you going to tell the funny story that happened though?
I can, yeah. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm talking about between the hair dryer and the fact that I have this whole section here that I no longer have to dry. My hair drying process is so much faster, which is
Yeah.
good because the ends of my hair are so damaged that they just hold on to water.
Yeah.
So I need all the help I can get.
It's a little porous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of her coworkers does designs. I wasn't planning on getting a design yet, but he was there.
He forced himself. He did.
He offered, and I so yeah. So I got he
It was
used
like a
the
lotus
straight.
flower kind of.
Yeah, it kind of looks more like a sunflower,
Yeah.
but it's nice. I like it. But so he used a straight razor afterwards, and he nicked me a little bit, which honestly I didn't even feel, but he felt so bad.
So the worst part about that though is, and I don't know if I told you this part, but he was an EMT in his previous career.
Yeah.
But he had to quit because blood makes him pass out. So he's trying to stop the bleeding, and he didn't want to be embarrassed and admit this, but he was about to pass out on the floor, and he felt bad because of all the people. He never cuts anybody but himself, ever.
Yeah.
I've never seen him in 2 years cut anybody. He cuts my best friend. Like, yeah.
I thought it was funny because I didn't even feel it.
Anyway, it was good.
Yeah.
We should start doing funny stories. Maybe you guys don't think that was funny. I thought it was hilarious. You had to be there. But we should start doing funny stories at the end too. If we have any.
If we have any, we'll share the funny stories.
Sometimes you can't force funny though, then it's just really not.
Well, it
it's
depends on
cringy.
the episode. I think this one's a little bit more lighthearted because we're talking about how easy it is to be friends.
Yeah.
Maybe the bullying part's not so lighthearted, but
Yeah.
a lot of like our last episode was a little more emotional, especially for me. So yeah, if we got funny stories, we'll add those.
Yeah. And as always, if there's anything that you want us to talk about, if there's a topic that we haven't thought of covering, we're very open to suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. And if just something resonated with you, let us know too, because it feels good. It feels good to know that somebody,
Feels that.
it made an impact of some sort.
Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. So from us to you, keep growing and glowing, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching our podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, and follow us on our social media at Lou&Sue Podcast on both Instagram and TikTok. See you next week.